that was what I was saying. They are going to have this.
Can you look at the Is it better? It should be much better now.
So turn to the side. And
So now you can.
Good. You see it?
It was great. Yeah, that's fun.
I think it's still like. But he has no one should say yes. Take that child.
You should bring it.
Yeah.
Hello. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for coming and for your patience. We are about to begin the program, but there's a QR code on the table. You can scan to get information about the exhibition so that you will also be familiar with the work of the artists and the things that we're going to do. I'll call on the artist, the Ewaji, and the curator and the moderator to take their seat. And thank you so much. We also are grateful to Gallery Accra and Alicia and Sapua, the co-founders of the space, for hosting this exhibition and also the talk at the same time. This talk is as part of the exhibition Sowing Remnants and Sowing Change, which is a work by Tewaji, curated by Rania as a solo exhibition by the artist. Tewaji, for most of us, we know him, has worked across different materials from leather, ties, roofing sheets, and a lot more. He's one of the artists that I have known for many years, dedicated to his practice, and has been working with the kind of dedication that tells you he's really an artist. At this point, I will hand over to Bernard Akwi Jackson, Dr. Bernard Akwi Jackson, a lecturer and an educator at the Kwame University of Science and Technology, who will be moderating this conversation. Thank you so much. We hope you enjoy the talk. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you, Atom. And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome to La Gallery Accra, where we are going to engage in a conversation with an artist and a curator. To put up an exhibition requires a lot of research and dedication, back and forth discussions, and many other things. And so this is what we are going to engage in. For a while, we would have a discussion here, and then after a while, after you've heard some of their motivations, we would then open up to the public to also engage. By engagement, we mean that you share your thoughts, your contributions. So it's not necessarily only questions. Often people assume that just questions, bombarding the artist and the curator with questions. Sometimes even your confusions you can share with them, and maybe you would want to share their own confusions also with you. Yes, so maybe straight away we'll go into it so that we can I'm hoping that we'll have a very lively and engaged discussion. Maybe just by way of introduction, could you share with me, Rania, who, not with me alone, but me and the public, who you are, what you do, and how you came into this collaboration with Tay. And then after that, you will also share with us basically who you are, what you do, and how the conversation began for this project.
Hello? Oh yeah, okay, it's working. Thank you all for coming. So my name is Rania Ogeymat. I'm a Ghanaian of Lebanese descent. I'm a fourth generation Ghanaian. In my teenage years, I was mentored by Miss Angela Christian, who was chief of protocol during Nkrumah's time, and like a grandmother to me in art appreciation and art curation. I grew up around the thought that there can be no long-term practice of freedom or independence without a heavy investment in the arts. And this is the idea that has driven and continues to drive everything that I do in creatively. And so creatively, I wear different hats. I'm a juggler, I'm a multidisciplinary artist, but I've also worked as a creative coach with other artists for the past 23 years. I'm an art curator and one of the founding members of the Beyond Collective, an art collective here in Accra. We set up the collective because we wanted to raise the standards of exhibition in Accra. One of the things we did was introduce photography as a fine art. We focused a lot on encouraging creative collaborations at a time where this was not something that was common. I also work as a fashion stylist part-time, and I'm a trustee of the Fair Justice Initiative, an organization which works to support and advocate for female prisoners, or prisoners in general, but the work with Francis Kokoko, my fellow collective member, we collaborated on the Remember Me project, which was to change the conversation basically and the narrative around prisoners.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you very much. Well, before I start, I'll steal your time. I'll beg your pardon to steal your time. This is just something used to you, but all that I do comes from nowhere, but from the Creator who brought me into this world. So I don't do anything from beginning without mentioning his name. I would like to sing you a song for Uguay. Are you cool with that? Yes. To praise God instead of praise. The title is Wabala. Kunilieli ameni pasadoncho, nilaji ameta uni. Kunilieli ameni pasadoncho, nilaji ameta uni. Edwe moji boshini uluawo. Ni edromo ufawo nyawala ijemo lala wala na ijemo lala posale wabala wabala hallelujah wabala humble from a humble family in La. Born and bred in La, grew up in La, and I'm still there. I've been an artist since time ago to me. Since I was born, everything about me is art. I'm in it, and it's around me, and it's in me. So I can't do anything without it. As I said, I'm from a very humble family, and God has blessed me so much with what I'm doing, and has blessed me with 4 children, here in 3 boys, who are my stronghold actually. So with all that I do, I'm giving credit to God, I give credit to my children. They are very supportive. The journey of art is very rough. Sometimes I agree with parents who discourage their children of doing that, but that is in the book. Yeah, that is in the book. But sometimes I share with them because I'm a parent too. I'm in it, and it's around me,
Okay. Thank you very much. You are in and it's around you. So maybe just between you and Rania, you can share with us the exhibition, Sowing Remnants, Sowing Change. There's a plan, sowing and then sowing. So joining together and then putting something together or something in the ground so that it emerges. What motivated this project? How did the conversations begin? And how did you go through the processes together as curator and as artist?
I think we're having problems, with this mic, so we're going to be doing it. The project started because of these two amazing ladies, Safwa and Aisha, who actually own and operate the gallery together. And they contacted me saying that they had an artist whose work they loved and they wanted to show the work and if I would curate it. And I know a lot of artists in Accra, but I didn't know Tay before that. So, you can never know everybody. And in the beginning, I said, it's a very tight time for me. I'm very, very busy. I don't think I can do this right now. But after seeing Tay's work, you know how sometimes when you've done something for a long time, you get like a gut reaction? It's a little bit like tingles or something you get under your skin. I felt that the work was very powerful and very culturally relevant. So I thought to myself, even if it's gonna, be a challenge because of my time at this time and whatever, I really, really wanted to do it. But then I also knew that usually I take my time with artists because there's a very important element of connection that has to happen, not only connection to the work, connection to the artist himself or herself, followed by conversation. So it's connection, conversation, communication. And conversation, the conversation part of it is very similar to investigative journalism, and part of it is just, it can be brainstorming or just cooking together while we talk and share ideas. So yeah, that's how we started. But now I'm going to give it over to Tay so that he can tell you his side of how it started.
I feel blessed to be introduced to Rania for the first time. Like she mentioned, next year will be 30 years since I started practicing this format. But we never met before, so I said, wow, Rania is the person who's in town. So we met for the first time, and she was very amazing, and she's very amazing. But we had our fight, and I think that is something very good. As an adult, you may have a fight, but you should be able to settle it. Don't let the fight disrupt whatever you want. So we've come a long way, even though we made in the shortest possible time. But we made use of that. The term of my exhibition was vision, because it is something I've been planning for years and years. But Rania came along the way, and she, being a curator, said, no, vision. The word vision is too common.
Yeah, generic, like too wide.
For her. I'm an artist. I'm not a curator, so I have to be there. No, and your technique is silly, because the background where I'm coming from is about sewing, from the family of seamstress and tailors. So from sewing clothes to metals, and I think sewing remnant, and so she brought the idea and said, okay, that's cool. But we can't stop the vision, because it's something I'm working on, which is not over now. I've just begun. And it's like doing something to relate to community, which at the end results will benefit for not only the artists. Because what I'm seeing around is art works are so much indoors. And the problem we have here is no sculptor would like to put his work outdoors because it will deteriorate. If not wooden, maybe clay or cement. And with time, we've been seeing them around. They don't last longer. But when you go to Europe, you see the bronze, the brass, and they last much longer. So what can we do? Because we need art outside. It's very bad to see people asking, what is this? What does it mean for, you know? People don't understand what we are doing. Majority don't understand. Locally here, don't understand what we are doing. So let's take it out to the forefront, to outdoors. Let them, so what material? So I feel blessed coming across this so-called aluminum roof sheets that people tend to disrespect, you know, when they become discarded, you know. So they are useful, they last longer, they withstand all weathers, fires and whatever, you know, because you have substance made of aluminum and they are on fire every time. So using aluminum to sculpt, create artworks and put them outdoors can last longer. You know, not just that, but it creates revenue for the system, for the country, you know. You mount artworks and everybody just want to take a picture of it. You understand? Yeah, it refreshes. It cures. You understand? So, it's something, the vision is there, and I have to articulate it, I have to work on it. But Rana came along and it's like my title is changed, so we had our fight. Seriously. There was a time he said, okay, then I'm going, I'm leaving your city. I said, you can't go. If you go, then you can't stand me. You are a curator. Oh, yes. You are a curator. This is what I'm doing. Okay, I said vision. Work on the vision. And to craft something. Yeah, let me be proud of it. But if you run away from me, then you are just a coward. So she can't. She must stand. You know? And here we are.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the thing, right? And this is part of the process. Like every creative work is a little bit like a birth. There are always labor pains. And so I always expect to have challenges. I never go in because of what I've been doing, expecting the road to be smooth. Because it's through those hard and difficult conversations that we're able to break through. And so for me, as a curator, right, of course, I knew that Tay's vision is very authentic. But what I battled for was that I said, Tay, every politician talks about a vision. Every businessman, sometimes people on the streets talk. If we use just vision as a title, although it's very real and alive in your head and you see it, it's not enough to explain to people. We need to communicate the art. We need to communicate what is unique about the artwork that you do. You know, what is unique about this vision so that the people can actually see it. And though that idea for the title came following conversations, because after I got to know that that Tay comes from a family of dressmakers and that he has a clothing line, and I started asking him about sewing, and he told me that sewing is a universal language. Every single person, everywhere in the world owns something and needs something that is sewn. And for me, it struck me as something very powerful. He has this futuristic, sustainable vision, so sustainable Afrofuturism, but then it's coming from a very, very old tradition that is at once universal because of the sewing part, but it's also very local because it started being inspired by Asasa. But to me, what was truly interesting and what gets me very excited as a curator is that This was an artist who was practicing Sankofa, going back to the future. When you take something, a local tradition, but actually innovate and create something new out of it, this is what we're supposed to do, I think, as artists.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. I made a note about the artist practice, and I said it is grounded in its culture, but not necessarily illustrative of the culture. So this is what you are saying, that so maybe this Sankofa that you refer to is not necessarily a Sankofa to an atavistic past, but forging a new future. And
A dynamic future.
Exactly. So thank you very much for this. And the fact that also, behind the sculptures that are on display here is this common or shared interest in fashion, in adorning people, the two of you. And you show it in yourselves and also in the work that you do. Particularly also for your cloth on cloth, which an example of which you are wearing. This necessity of joining things together, and that's why maybe with your vision, the curatorial intervention of the sewing remnants together and then sewing change is something that is interesting because it also speaks into your vision of the possible change that you want in your community. What I picked from the 3 C's that you shared, connection, conversation, and communication, I think is very important. It showed in also what you said, that your fights. I think for a creative process, the fight cannot be sidestepped. I think they are the necessity or the necessary moments through which something creative can come. So when you said that after all this, here we are. Yeah, so this is what those fights can bring. Thank you very much for what you've shared with us. You said it's been 30 years since you started this particular form. Is it only the metal stitching or the collective forms, the painting, stitching, and metal work? What is the 30 years?
Next year, 30 years since I started practicing art form.
Oh,
yeah, but with the metal, I think it came across the line somewhere in 2007.
Yeah. Maybe you can also share with us what I think, because maybe it's an observation I have, and I'll share that later. But what is it about painting that has stayed with you so much? Because it tends to feature a lot in even the present work.
I like sculpture. My main specialty is painting. Is what I say. I like sculpture. Sculpture to me is been an African thing when it comes to art, for years and years. So it's something which I always want to do. I was in Zimbabwe for stone carvers residency, and it broadened my scope of sculpture. But now, we need to move on. We need productivity in the art industry. It shouldn't be, chopping woods and carving stones, and things must happen. So I started by carving wood, which is quite traditional here, but we need some. There should be a change, So before I went to art school, I went to study electrical engineering because I was inspired by my late uncle who was so successful in this field and always wanted to be like him. What isn't yours isn't yours, no matter what you do. I spent 4 years in electrical college, technical school, but it's so sad when you ask me to solve the socket. I still call them to come and fix things.
But you're very good at taking the wires and making art out of them.
That was what happened. Yeah, that was the genesis of what I'm doing. Sometimes I did sit down and ask myself, so I spent 4 years in school and without doing anything with it. Sometimes it's bad, it's a waste of time. I'm an artist now. What can I do to make me feel proud? At least I'm using something from electrical engineering. You understand? And behind my house there is a structure made of aluminium. So I can sew very well. So why don't I collect electrical wires? Aluminium is such a flexible material, highly responsive when you're working with it. So why can't I sew these? I sew clothes. So, you understand? Yeah, so please, do you want to say something?
Sorry, but I feel that at this stage it's very, very important to address this part. Say to him, I sew aluminum, I sew metal, This is a very, very, very hard practice. Like his mastery, it's not easy. I remember during the opening, an engineer was here, and at first, people thought the work is leather. And then the engineer came close and realized that it's metal. And he went insane and started commenting that how can metal be sewn in a way that looks so soft? And it doesn't use technology. It is in somebody's mind, and he knows intuitively how to cut. You're actually sewing metal just like you sew cloth. And there's a softness to the texture and the flow of the works, that to me shows that this is an artist who knows his medium very, very, very deeply. And where also, you have a crossover between art, between fashion, and between craft, whether it's the craftsmanship of sewing, and tailoring, or the other craftsmanship which involves asasa, for example. Sorry, Tay.
It's okay. Thank you. Well, so that is how come I find myself sewing this aluminium. But I am a type of a person who dislikes dancing or copying people or doing what people are doing. I always like to go my own way. Sometimes it may be bad for people, but and sometimes too it's bad, but it's good to go your own way and do things by yourself alone than trying to depend on people and imitating what people have. It's nice. It's nice, but I'm the kind that I always love to dance my own dance. So yeah.
Thank you. This is very relevant in particular. It's a particular attitude towards work. The fact that you want to dance your own dance, even if there's a lot of azonto going on, you still want to stay to your own steps. It's interesting, and it comes from, as Vanya mentioned, a certain mastery of the medium and the form, and that you have expressed yourself in softer medium, which is fabric or cloth, cotton cloth, and then you applied it to harder material that should not be yielding, but you seem to dance with the material so much that you can cause something that should necessarily be stiff to respond to the flows of life. We can see them in the sculptures. We can see the way they speak to the activities of the space that are inspiring it. A lot of the figures that we see sort of speak to the everyday of space. Labadi. So can sorry, La.
La.
Labadi is the colonial name, but La. And so can you speak to that fact that the inspiration from the sea, the fishermen, and something that we spoke about a little before we started. At Dome today, you installed a huge sculpture in the open space between the gallery and the rest of the community, taking center stage in a space that a lot more people are going to see than even what the gallery offers. Can you speak to this intervention that brought your work, a fishing family, mother, a father, and a child that are in the open space? Can you speak to that?
Yeah, first of all, the title Fishing Family is, I've been a native of Dunlees. You know, fishing is our culture for years and years. And there is something going on currently which I wouldn't like to speak so much about that, but I feel bad about the fishermen. Stopping them at this particular time for not going to fishing. You understand? It affects them a lot, which I think the authorities should take a second look at that. If they should change the time, because at this particular time we celebrate Omowo, and there is a ritual that takes us to the sea to fish. You understand? And not only that, but it disturbs families. It takes away bread from the table of families, which a son like me of this nature should speak about. Yeah, not attacking anybody, but speak about it politely. And how do I speak about it? A musician will create his music and speak about this. The artist will also express himself through his media. So that is what I've done there. But then, like I was saying, let's take the art not only indoors, but let's take it outside. Painting like that is impossible. But it's possible to on the wall, the frescoes and all that. So it's possible. But let's do that more. Let's educate the public, because it's very sad for a whole successful man who have known a lot to ask you, what is this? Or when you tell him, when he asks you, what do you know, and you said you are an artist, the only thing he talks about is sign writing. You're on the street doing sign. It isn't that. The scope is big. But it's only few people around who understand. So because of that, it's sad that local, very successful people who can support the art, they do not, because they don't understand. It's a big business. You understand? Yeah, when we talk of business, it's a big business. But let's educate the people who don't know, because the onus also lies on the artists. You understand? To let the people know this is the essence of what we are doing. To me, I think let's decorate the Accra with artworks. Not just artworks, but materials that can last longer. You understand me? Yeah, and respect them and teach the people to respect it, because it will be very sad what I've done there. If you give it like 2 months, you'll find a madman perching under it. You understand? Yeah, so these are things that will discourage the artist, but we shouldn't look at that part. When we start doing it and it is going well, because I think people may travel to Ghana not just for anything, but for their art. You understand? And people will come to Accra not to be with anything but the art. And I'm more happier seeing a child of maybe 3 years asking, what is this, than an adult. You understand me? Yeah, and it saddened my heart going to a old successful man's house and you don't see an art piece on the wall. I'm not forcing anybody to buy art, but it is education. It's better than seeing photographs from magazines and sometimes you can't understand, but it's what they like. Yeah, it's what they like, but maybe they don't know that it's good to have somebody carried a pot on the wall. Yeah, you call that a common art, but it's a very big time document. Because today, thanks to technology, we fetch taps from homes, and our brothers and sisters, or a guy like you was growing up, go to the stream to bring water. You know, so we have a story to tell our children. This is what it used to be. That you have to walk miles and get water home for the family to use. And it's something, a must, that you can't do away with it. You understand? Yeah, but that is not there. A child of mine don't know this. You know, so yeah, a lot of children today, they don't know that how our forefathers have toiled, you know, bringing them up. You know, so seeing a woman carrying a pot of water on the wall is a very massive education for our children today. You understand? So I think let's take the art outside. Let's do things. Let's educate the public. There are a lot who don't know. Don't think what you know somebody, but it's up to you to let the person know. When you understand, you will patronize it, you will support it.
And this aspect of Faith's vision was something that moved me a lot, because with fellow members of the collective, with so many artists that I've been working with, it's one of the things that I keep obsessing with over the years. How do we take art to the public? How do we take it to public spaces? Because in the absence of institutions that support the arts, and even when, you know, an institution, let's say there are a few, they open their doors. So many times what we noticed with our exhibitions is that the price of transport is prohibitive to the average person, or it's very difficult to know the exposure, right? So for me, taking artists who are thinking about the future in this way, about taking art outside of the gallery, outside of the institution, inside the people, inside the everyday, making it everybody's business, you know, are very, very exciting and very, very interesting, because they are truly drivers of change.
Thank you very much for that. And maybe just to challenge Tay a little bit more, I would think that since we want the work to go into the public, then if we see a madman sleeping by the way, then it has actually gone to the public. And on that note, we would like to open the floor to the general public. Please, you can share your comments, you can share your observations, and you can ask questions to the panel, Rania, Odimat, and Tewaji, and they will be glad to share their ideas with you. Thank you very much. Kindly raise your hand if you are you want to offer something in this sense. Yes, we have someone. Please introduce yourself and then share your idea. Thank you.
My name is Topia, and I was just commenting because it's sad that you have to teach Africans how to create art when it's in our nature to be creative and to be artistic and to make art. Art is what we do, that's what we're known for. All over the world, people come to Africa because of art and culture and life. So it's not something you necessarily have to teach, but just something you have to remind people about, because now they've gotten so caught up in like the 9 to 5 and getting jobs and working that they've forgotten who they are. It's just a reminder of who we are.
Thank you for that. I think I also share that idea of reminding rather than teaching. And as artists, I think this is what we do, to remind ourselves, to remind our bodies, to remind our minds, to remind our ways of the things that we have always done. But I think it's also a trait that is shared by all humanity. Expressing the self and expressing the innermost. So, thank you for that. Yes.
Hello, Gabrielle here. I want to kind of go off of that comment though, because I think it's not just a matter of reminding as much as it is, I think the curatorial aspect of the conversation between the artist and the curator is really important, and it's given me a lot of insight as to the perspective of how the story is told and through the lens of who is telling the story. And I think we can all admit that Ghanaian art is, or African art is something that has kind of been depicted or even displayed or curated by people who don't look like us or people who may not understand the story that's being told. So it's the reminding, but it's also the being able to understand the curator's perspective and how to influence the artist in a positive light and showcase them in a positive way in order to allow that to foster growth in the community.
Thank you very much. And I think that shows very much in the conversations between the artist and the curator here, that it was not a smooth sailing one, but it is this turbulence that bred such a great showing. Yes, please respond.
What your comment is thank you for making it actually, because for me it's very relevant and it's always present with me, right? Because although I'm Ghanaian, I'm white, and so for many people there's a question mark without, and I know very much, I grew up around that history, right, of art or politics or so many other things being narrated from a different perspective. So one of the most important things in my art practice, especially when it comes to curation, is that the very deep connection and conversation part, being faithful to the artist and being as truthful as possible, knowing that we are always limited, we are always imperfect, and that you're using a different medium, which is the medium of language and words, and knowing that traditional Ghanaian languages are not English. And so you have to translate something that is spiritual, that is intuitive, that is cultural, into a foreign language, right? And there's a very, very, very big challenge in that. And so I feel that, the best way we can deal with it is not be afraid to have the difficult conversations, not be afraid to have conflict, to discuss it, to talk about it, to trust is gained, nobody owes you their trust. And having those, going through those obstacles actually is what helps. Ultimately, is the written word or the written communication the perfect thing? No, it's not. It can never be. But it's about throwing a line, if we're talking about fishing, right? Building a connection, trying to facilitate that connection. And we try, I think, the thing is to care about doing it in this moment to the best of my ability, knowing that I'm fallible and we are not in perfect circumstances.
Thank you very much. There are more people here.
Shall I ask my question? Hi, I'm Francis Wood. I think my question is directed more at you. I discovered this gallery 2 days ago. I walked in here and I have to say I was struck by the quality of the work, especially the stitching. I think there's a certain craft in the stitching, there's a certain consistency that's really impressive, and I'd like at some point, maybe offline, to hear a little bit more about how you did it. But what I didn't notice 2 days ago that I'm noticing today is I am seeing figures, and especially these works behind you, especially the one above you. I'm seeing a figure that looks like it's hunched over, for example, which I didn't see 2 days ago. And on some of these works over there, especially those ones, I'm seeing faces in what looks like it might be a study in geometry or figures. I'm just wondering if the human figure features in these works, and I'm also interested in whether, for example, the ones above you, whether you sketch them before you begin to produce them. So in some ways, I'm interested in the process. It's like the final works are fantastic.
Well, what you are seeing wasn't intended, by me. But that makes art more interesting. Because sometimes what you may see is not what I'm seeing, which is more interesting to me. And that takes you deep to another level. As I mentioned, I was sewing Asasa. The outcome of my thought of God design is my sister may sew, and there will be leftovers of pieces of cloth on the ground, and I may come from Mr. Monkode's place when I was studying under him. He would say, stretch this canvas for me, and there will be leftovers of the canvas. I, being a student, I don't have money to buy paint. So when I brought this canvas home, what can I do with them? There is something called Asasa. Is to join different various wax prints together and have a big piece and do whatever you want to do with it. Our mothers boast with them to show the public the kind of clothes they have in their wardrobe. So Asasa is quite a unique style of material, clothes, in here. I don't know. So the outcome of that is so Asasa, but I don't want to do the same Asasa. So mine is to collage the canvas with wax prints, which started with my clothing designs. So okay, I have to put Asasa into my metals too. So the aluminium ruches, when I collect the old ones, the color, it has one natural color, which is gray. But where it's being placed, the kind of soil, you know, we have colors of soil. The kind of soil at that place, the dust of the soil covers the ash, the gray natural color of the aluminium. It becomes something else. The original owners also paints them. Like this green color is painted by the original owner before I collected. So I have to, the color is so, it's beautiful, it's natural, but I have to make it more funky or more, bring some life into it. So I started buying the can spray, the metallic ones to spray, and then, so it's an idea of making a salsa. I don't cut the shapes, I don't intend to cut the shapes the way I want it. I just cut the pieces and join them. So I have one unique thing. And it's quite abstractive. If people come to my studio, what I see, they see something different. You know, which makes me happy. That what I'm seeing is not only that, but it goes beyond what I'm seeing. So for that part, I love doing what I'm doing. But now, with this, I can turn this, that is where it comes from my vision. Because what I'm doing has grown to a certain level that we can have wardrobes from this. We can have kitchen cabinets from this. I'm making furniture out of this. We can have so much, not only sculpture, not only figures, sculpture figures, but we can do so much. We can wallpaper walls, buildings with this. That you don't need to paint them again. It's aluminium. The rain falls and it washes it and it becomes new again. You know, so it's such a beautiful material that we can do so much with it. I'm hoping that one day, you being in the art college, maybe we can teach the student, add this to the sculpture. You know, it doesn't have to be welding metals always. You understand? One thing too about this, you only have to drill and then sew it. So, yes, talking about the cost of the workmanship. You know, because the metals, people have the welding metals and it's quite expensive. I drill this and a lot of utility is disposable. But when I collect them, they are dust, they have to wash. You know, so working part-time, the labor intensity is quite key. I've been doing this for quite some time, so I'm used to that. You understand? Yeah, what will take you 2 days to do, maybe it will take me a day to do. You understand? So I've come a long way that I would have wished it goes to other institutions. You know, it's something that people can learn. Because my children, my 3 boys, they work with me. They can still learn. There was a time before they started doing this. I sat with them and I told them, oh, I paint, I sew, I do this. Which one, if I ask you to join me to have fun with it, will leave? And he said, the 3 of them all said they want to do the metals. Which is quite interesting. That the sewing and the painting. So they join me when they are available. And they even love to do it with me than going out and play. So I'm happy. We have fun, but at the same time working. And I think it's so much cooler than going and walk at places I don't know. Well, I'm a single parent. I give them the freedom to go and play, but I'm happy to if they are with me, learning, having fun, and making use of their time. You understand? But there is more time to go and play. But they stick with me.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
I thank God.
Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, yeah.
Thank you. So I don't know if that would be helpful, right? But through observation, regarding your question, through observation, being with Tay in the studio, you know, asking him questions, seeing how he works, Tay told me, I don't try to control the medium. And when you look at the work, for me, it's very evident that there's a balance between what Tay decides to do, the intention, the intent, but also the character of the medium in all of the works. So when he's saying, and so when he gets the pieces, he's very, very intuitive about it, and he's very respectful of that medium. So let's say if with the older pieces, right, he will flow. There's a flow to the work that is only like an artist needs to go through a very long process before you can get to a stage where you can flow that intuitively with your work and a particular medium.
Okay, let's say this. So,
Yeah.
and what I've noticed in creativity is that any material has its character. And I don't force my materials to go the way I want. We work together. You know, I work with the materials and respect them, that if I want them to go left and they want to go right, then I'll join them to go right and make their right more perfect than me forcing it to be my way. You know, it's different if you are working on a commission and you say, okay, have somebody fishing or whatever. That one you are working with a head, with a commission. You understand? You have to do what is asked. But in your studio creating, just have fun. Play with your material. You know, because paint has their characters. Wood has their characters. Metal is the same. And even you can't tell me steel or pure iron character is like aluminum sheets. You know, I love my materials so much because they are very responsive. We play. I play with them. And sometimes they direct me to the way they want. And I join them.
Yeah, thank you very much. I want to just make a quick comment on these ideas. You can clap. I think. Yeah, because I don't know what to clap to that. First, one thing. Sometimes when the work is done, for example, Asasa was copied recently by Lisco. They started printing cloth like Asasa. So that's just a note I wanted to make. But you mentioned an artist in person, and I think it is necessary to go back to that artist because the flow that you have developed, the expertise that you've developed with your materials did not come just out of the blue. You've mentioned Amon Kotek particularly, an artist who comes from lab, with whom you work. So maybe something small about the type of training that you received from Amon Kotek that then led me into the way that the discipline that you develop with your material.
Amonkote is a painter, but he loves sculpture. So he always has stones in his studio. Like he talks to the stones and call me to come see the beauty of the stones. So it creates some inspiration within. But then I started painting from him, but he made me understood the art to a different level. That it is not just painting and selling, but there is more into it. You know? From Granada College of Art, I didn't take the art serious. I was at home doing my own thing still. You understand? But I thank my mother so much for taking me to him because they relate. You know? So it was that. Amonkote, I used to learn about Amonkote when I was in primary school. So I can't wait to see this one.
I think, Bernard, thank you so much for bringing this up, because I think it's very important to consider this, that the tradition of mentorship, which we don't always keep and respect, can be very, very important. Because Tay understudied with Amonkote and also with Suakaji. And because we don't keep our archives properly, you know, these were two Ghanaian masters who contributed a lot to the art scene. He has developed his own unique language, his own unique original vision that doesn't have anything to do with what they used to do. And yet, having that mentorship by two masters who are different, who are multidisciplinary, and for those of you, maybe the younger people who don't know, Amonkote is also the designer of our national coat of arms. Not many young artists have had the opportunity to have that type of mentorship. I was very lucky as well to receive mentorship from Miss Angela Christian, so I know what I'm talking about, you know. This transfer of knowledge and skills is extremely important for our growth and for our development.
But we have a few questions here.
Okay.
Hey, my name is Sean. I'm a photographer, and I just wanted to jump back to the start where you mentioned about the acceptance of fine art photography as an art form. I think it's just a really interesting conversation to sort of go into, and I'm looking to see more about the thinking behind that, especially with the emergence of original African art that's coming out. A lot of the art forms, they're not going to fit in the cookie cutter what we believe to be art. So I'm just interested in like with photography and then all art forms, how does that conversation happen?
You're actually in the right place, because we have two photographers who are very dear. We have many more here, but two of them are particularly dear to me, their family. There's Eric Jaffe, where are you? Who's a fine arts photographer, and then there's Francisco Coco, who is, I think, a multidisciplinary photographer. He does documentary photography, but he's also an artist, you know. And each one, and they have very different perspectives and very different approaches. And we've had amazing conversations along the years around. So I would suggest to know more, maybe you could try talking to them afterwards. But for example, what Eric is constantly fascinating me, because he pushes himself, he's exploring, you know, photography with plant medicine, or with using cassava leaves to print, or with using, how many things do you use to print? You're always, and the results are amazing, you know, and I think it's never whether an art form is accepted or not, or good enough or not. There's a certain connection with the artist, you know. One art form you may connect, like with Tay, he connects to aluminum, right? He found that connection. And it's about, when you find that connection and it serves you, what kind of story you want to say, right? There is no reason why you can't and rise along the way. But then you go back to, you need to face those challenges, and there's always a way to resolve them. Like when you're printing from the material that the earth is hitting here in Ghana, how can the work not be authentic? When you're using that to describe or to convey something.
So I want to quickly sort of tie that in. First, Terry mentioned that he wishes that the forms that are introduced now will be introduced in the curriculum of, for example, KNUST. I think this is exactly what is happening. And so, in terms of form, for example, the space that I represent, the Department of Painting and Sculpture in KNUST, this is how we run our art school. That if we have 100 students, then each student is developing their material, their form, their language. And so what Eric Jempi is an example of someone who brought his form into the program there and then pushed his program and his practice beyond even what the form can offer. Ibrahim Anana is sitting here, right, in front of us. He very much also uses photography in the, not only documentation, but in pushing the spread of his work beyond just the form in the site-specific space. And so these are happening. And just the fact that we have been able to do this is already a curriculum in development. It means that somebody will see it and be inspired to do something similar to it. I also don't believe in copying what exists, but be inspired by what exists and pushing the vision to what could become. And this is really what is happening in this space. Any more questions? Okay, there's somebody right in front. So,
my name is not particularly a question, but I'm just going to talk about my experience.
It's on.
Okay, so my name is Neil, and I'm an artist in advertising. So I came through sometime last month, and I was really impressed. There are two things that struck me. I think first it was like the labor. I was imagining how you did it. In my mind, I was like, how did he do it? And one of the other things that impressed me so much was the choice of color, because you're working with metal, but it looks very heavy. And also I was really impressed when you said that you saw the roofing sheets in that particular color. And it just struck me that, okay, you saw this and you realized that you could actually make something more from, what everybody else would see and because some artists might even miss. So that was very impressive. That was really, really touched me. And also one more thing that I really, enjoyed whilst I was experiencing your art was the choice of, say for example, the one over there, the dynamism, the motion with metal. Metal is supposed to be stiff. It's supposed to be stiff. It's not supposed to be the things that you're making it do. That was also something that really touched me. So I really appreciate your work, and hopefully you are going to touch a lot more people. So thank you so much.
Thank you for that observation. But it's not that he's making the metal do. According to him, he and the metal are making together. Thank you for that. In our midst is another photographer of mention. So we are in the home of the photography family. Thank you very much for your question. Any more questions? Any more contributions? Yeah.
Hello, my name is Kojo Doku. When I saw these words, initially what came into my mind was like, how is this person able to fabricate metal? It's not even fabricating, like sometimes you can relate that he allows the metal to flow. And he made a statement, that was what intrigued me and drew me closer, because he said, I like to dance my own dance. You get, and in the kind of world that we are, when somebody comes up with a design, you realize that you have a whole lot of artists trying to see that, oh, like this is fetching. So you find out that there are artists working in that terrain. So you find out that like artists working like in that particular like style, you get it all together, like trying to make something up. And what I believe is that as an artist, like we love what we do, but when you realize that you are in a family, you say that like you wouldn't even sometimes allow your children to do art, like forcing them, because sometimes you can be in an environment or in a family and realize that they are doctors, they are nurses, and after school they are all doing something with their lives. But you say you want to do art, and that's what you're doing. And we don't see anything. You get that in our part of the world, like art, they're now trying to recognize it, but you know, people can't relate to it. You can do something and you put it and they'll say, what is this? Like, you get discouraged because like sometimes you have to make money, you have to survive. You need to make an income, but whilst you're working on your dream, you have to do other things to survive. So has it really been easy? Because when I look at you, sometimes I say, oh, this man, like, what is he trying to do? What is he trying to do? What is he trying to? Because like some of these things, when you realize that there are patches, and sometimes you realize that there's some kind of genes and all, it has some of these patches, but he's able to use metal. So like dancing your own dance, like not really minding what other people will say. Do you really feel like you're going to, you know, make something great out of this? Like, I know you're a great man, but you know, like, don't you get discouraged? Like, and sometimes I watch an episode of your, and you were working. I didn't see you putting on any protective garments, and you just doing it so easily. And like with these metals, as they sharp, like sometimes I see the metals have been painted, like you patinate some of them, and you know, allow some of them to corrode and all that. Like, it's so fascinating. I'm impressed.
Thank you for that. Thank you. Or do you have a question?
Hello, good evening. I'm Beata. I've known Ted for quite a while. I realized mine is not a question, it's a comment. Or I just wanted to add a few words to what Ted said. He's versatile, he's crazy, he's absolutely amazing. He mentioned painting, he mentioned sewing fabric and metal, but I realized he totally forgot to mention that he used to upcycle plastics. And he forgot to mention that because when I met him in 2009, it was during the Accra Fashion Weekend, and Terry brought a totally stunning collection which was made with black rubber. So it was like, you know, trash couture. It was absolutely amazing. So I believe, considering that we still haven't solved the problem of pollution, in fact it's gotten worse. In fact, there's quite a bit of, when I arrived, the first thing I did was across the street to go and look at the sculpture outside, and I took some pictures, and the usual thing, there's plastics, you know, and all scattered all over the place, as you would expect. So yeah, but that's all. I just wanted to remind him, in case he forgot, that he started talking about the plastic pollution in 2009. We're in 2023. You know, if anything, the situation has aggravated. It's even worse now. So I recently also did a similar project, but I think not directly, but I think it's proper to give credit to Tay for having started this conversation.
Thank you very much, Billy, for that. Tay actually also inspired Trashy Bags. So Trashy Bags started their production based on what Tay started doing, stitching discarded plastic together to create objects.
He also does furniture design. Yes. Really great furniture design from recycled materials, from the Taiwatis. From the tires, fascinating thing, and also from aluminum. So sorry, just to add, because again, we haven't been able to really, it would take too much time to cover all the different things. So.
Yes.
My name is Kripo Dade. This is just a suggestion. In relation to saying you dance your own dance, but me from my back issue, but a kind of a man's man as real, Joe. I can come Okwemo Ojo, or I can work, sorry, where we began. Okay, Lala, yes, it will be like a show fine, and they know one year old Lala start to the end. Lala, few, can have a room, can have to it. A man's man that do, they can have room. Well, they don't know what they are doing, if it is one. Or anyone like a single pattern or that day, can it be a Mugabia is only to my adun, I tattle it. It was to my look at tattle it. To my okay, that day. Omiton care one and below Kelabati, Shekova and Nicola, a man's banana few can have a cook, working in a look.
Would I get DJ to play that for us?
I wish I can sing a Manzibar song, but they have escaped.
Would I get DJ to play that for us?
Maybe the DJ can find it for us. It's not so hard to find it on YouTube. One more question. Thank you for that.
She wants a translation. I don't know if you can.
Oh, quickly. So he was glad that Tay started his submission with a song and wanted to know if Tay could sing a Manzibar song which talked about dancing your own dance, literally. And it was that the monkey would not look at other people who dance his own dance. So this is basically what he was asking about. And then he said, he said it in English, but he wished he could sing that song. But we hope that DJ will find it for us where we can all dance to it. Thank you. Any more contributions?
Okay, we'll take one more.
Thank you. I'm Gavin. Well, I find myself in a completely different environment. The artist, I'm not an artist. I don't know anything about art. I just came to make a withdrawal at the ATM. I asked what came on, and I was told, can I join? He said, is it for public? And I came in. I don't know anything about art, and it's a completely different world altogether for me. I'm listening to the artist and listening to how the curator was able to bring the vision, the innate things in him, so that we can see some of these things. I turned and I saw that art, that's called, is this sculpture or sculpture?
Sculpture.
Thank you. I told you. I saw that, and all I could see was my daughter reading. I feel refreshed, and thank you so very much. You are doing well.
Thank you. So maybe that's I like making jokes. So I think you actually know about art because you're going to withdraw money. Money is so it was the money that brought you here. But so now that you saw your daughter in the work, bring your daughter to come and see the work also. That would be very nice. Thank you very much.
And since you also have money now, maybe you can buy it. So thank you so much. Please let's put our hands.
Yeah, so just a short summary. We began with the art sharing his, one of the things that we did not list on his work. He's a sculptor, painter, fashion designer, but he's also a singer because he did not struggle at all to sing. So that was very great. The curator and the artist shared with us the conversations, the connections, and the communication that was developed. We realized that this process was not a smooth sailing one, but the conflict then resulted in such a beautiful exhibition. We realized that the artist started doing work or has been producing art formally for 30 years now, which is a great feat. And all this has come together because he has had mentors that have led him through the discipline that he now has. And he's not doing it alone, he's sharing it also with his family. And it is not something that would be not labor intensive. It is labor intensive, but I think we can all conclude that it is a labor of love. And even if nothing comes out of it, he has been able to touch us. He has been able to touch somebody who didn't intend to come here, but has come through withdrawing money to share with us. I can imagine that this is the beginning of the evangelism. Now we go out and reach people with the heart. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So please do it again for them. For those of us who are actually know Tewaji, it's been the dedication to the art is amazing. The many media, mediums and materials that is worked with over the years is amazing. Just as you mentioned the plastic, I know the yogurt sachets as well just came into mind as well. So thank you so much, Tewaji, for doing this with us. I know we would have to see a retrospective to see the entire work that you have in your armory, if I could say so. Thank you, Rania. Actually, you said a young man in your introduction. Thank you, Rania, for doing this, for curating this amazing show and the display as well. Bernard Akweda also for moderating. And Aicha and Sapua for hosting us and hosting the it's very important to also tell us the vision
about this way. The vision.
The many exhibitions that you do. Yes, the vision. Just put your hands together. Oh, let's see. The vision. The vision. The vision. So please sit down. It could be a short one.
Okay. Hi, so my name is Aisha. I think some people also know me for Lorraine. And this is Sakwa. Both of us came together to fund this place, the gallery. And for us, it was very important that this happens in this community. As you've already witnessed, Tay and obviously other artists that have come before him have really paved a way that is very unique for community members of this particular area. I mean, I think historically, we can sit here and talk so much about it, but as Rania said, we don't document, we have a different way of documenting, I should say. And what has happened so far is that it's very necessary to create space for a conversation like this to happen, so that we are reminded that, you know, there are people who came before us, and that this creativity lives in us, and all we have to do is reunite it. And so we came together. Where you're sitting is a supermarket. It used to be a supermarket, a Spanish supermarket that didn't survive. And so we took over the space to make sure that we create an art and design gallery. It's very, very important that we emphasize on art and design. Because as you see, not only are these forms of art just artwork on the wall, they're also very intricately designed. There's a very clever, intelligent design element that comes with all the works here. So I will pass on the mic for. But in all, we are really, really excited because what for us is very important. And for one major thing for us in this community is that we think that art, African art, cannot just be restricted to just fine art. It's much broader. And this conversation needs to be had here so that it can actually trigger, other conversations elsewhere. And as we've already said, it starts with dance, the clothes we wear, how we wear our hair. All of this is design, all of this is art. So for us, for the next couple of years that we are here, we're going to be making sure that this conversation is brought to life and that we continue to engage the community and the people that actually work in this field, and also others who have never, come across this, to make sure that they are exposed to it and that they are able to learn and collaborate and merge the different industries that they work. So this is not just you coming in and observing the art, it's also being able to live it, think it. And so we thank you so much for coming, and we hope that you have this week.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so thank you also for coming. It's a tall list of names. If I should recognize everyone that's here, you're all equally important to us. So we thank you for coming tonight. The exhibition is on till the 9th of September. Please walk in. I just been informed it's extended by us being here, so we'll go to October. But please watch our social media page. Follow the La Gallery on Instagram and other social media spaces.
You can also scan
the QR code,
yes, and download the catalog.
Yes, and hope to see you again for the next exhibition. Thank you all. There is also some drinks outside, and you can continue. Thank you.
Thank you.
The song that was requested is being played outside, so please take time to listen to it.